For centuries, capitalists ruled the world. They crafted a dystopian hellscape and commodified everything. Life, democracy, even the planet. Facing extinction, a rebel group emerged to challenge the capitalists. The online left, a group of deviants, Zoomers, and millennial misfits devoted to shitposting their way to a better world, one tweet at a time. Will they put aside their hatred of one another to defeat their capitalist common enemy? Find out now on Dystopian Times.
Witness destruction of everything that you known. While others chase the elite, we stand alone. Dark days coming, regardless, we never running. People still suffering, and everybody's wondering who's gonna lead the charge, who's gonna be the choice. Rooted from the bottom so the underdog can have a voice. Foundation, based in reality. Power to the people, people power, not a fallacy. Call it what you want it, but I know you hear us coming. Eyes wide open, cause you see we're on to something. The future on the line, we're here to redefine. Political powers recognize these dystopian times.
Hello, folks. Welcome to episode 7 of Dystopian Times. My name is Mike Figueredo, and I just want to let you know what I sacrificed to be here today. I was very much enjoying the live stream from ContraPoints. She was playing Stardew Valley, and it was a whole vibe. So I stopped just so I can do this show. That's how much I love you. But folks, I'm happy to be here because we have a phenomenal panel today. So first and foremost, I'm going to bring on somebody who I just discovered, but I'm so happy that I did. This is a Twitch streamer who is amazing, folks. It's Ravana. Ravana, welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me. Also, your intro is so awesome. I was like sitting here with my mouth open like, this is amazing. These graphics are so well done. The song is super cute. I love it.
Thank you so much. That means so much. I worked really hard on it. I worked with a bunch of people. And yeah, I think it's kind of a bop. Like, I feel like it's good. Yeah. Well, thank you for noticing. I'm so happy to have you here. Hopefully people will find your channel who watch me and find your Twitch streams because you're incredible. You're incredible.
Thank you. Oh, I love your show, by the way. I've been a big fan, and when you followed me on Twitter, I was like fangirling a little bit. So
oh, thank you. Thank you so much. That means so much. I really appreciate it. All right, folks. Well, the next individual who is here is someone who you might know who is blowing up as of late. Folks, it's one of the youngest leftist YouTubers in the game. It's Next Step Productions, Anthony Park. Anthony, welcome.
Hey, great to be here. And I know I sound like I'm repeating everybody, but the intro is really great, you know?
Well,
it really has the feeling of dystopian times. Yeah.
Well, thank you. That means a lot. Hey, I don't care how redundant you all are. We will extend the length of the show if that means there's more compliments. I really, I'm adamant about that. So thank you so much. Yeah, big things happening with Anthony. You just passed 1,000 subs on YouTube, correct?
Yeah, I did. Like, it's amazing. Like, I expect this for. I didn't expect it to go this fast, but apparently when there's solidarity, sometimes it happens fast.
Also, if you do good work, you get rewarded sometimes. So yeah, good to have you here. Well, folks, this next individual is someone who is incredibly talented. I'm a huge fan of his work and his Twitch streams. I was on his program not too long ago, and now he's on mine. Folks, it's Dan Simpson. Dan, welcome.
Thank you, Mike. Oh my gosh, thank you so much for having me. This is actually incredible. Just to be clear, you're able to see me. I see like a blank box, but that's fine.
Yeah, I can see you.
I also want to say how much I love the intro. It was really
good,
my
right? God. Thank you so much.
It honestly captures the brand and the whole feel of the show, and it's great. And I just got to say, I really like the show. You may know, and viewers may know that I produce Kenzo Shibata's small leftist debate channel. Debate show. It's called Meet the Left, and it's similar to this. It's a small discussion show, I should call it, not a debate show. And for that, I applaud you for ripping off the idea from us. So thank you. It's such a good idea, right?
It's a phenomenal idea, right? I'm really enjoying this. Well, after the season finale of Dystopian Times, I think that's like September 8th. We'll send everyone your way.
Awesome. Yeah. And I know you're not ripping off the show. I really gave myself a backhanded compliment. I really just love the idea of seeing small leftist discussion panels. I'm not really into the debate circuit, but
Same.
I really value this, and I was so happy to see you doing this, Mike. Congrats to you already.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Yeah. Glad to have you here. Well, folks, the next individual is someone who I've been a fan of. We've known each other for a very long time, and I just realized that she's also a Twitch streamer. So, of course, when I found that out, I had to bring her on the program. Folks, it's Christina. Christina, welcome to the program.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here.
I'm so glad to have you here as well. It's so nice that like your aesthetic matches everyone else's. And Christina, did you want to compliment the intro as well? So that way we're not.
Of course. I mean, come on. Obviously, got to keep that rolling.
No. I honestly, shout out to Tony Tig, who's incredibly talented. He is the one who raps over the intro, and he is an amazing person. He does really good. He has a couple of albums out, actually. He did one about Bernie Sanders' campaign in 2020, which was great. So yeah, check out Tony Tig, everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Well, folks, I want to jump right into the very first story. It is a somewhat new story. So for those of you who aren't aware, there is a strike going on, and I always want to make sure to broadcast any information I have about these strikes because I want to stand in solidarity with the workers. So if you're a fan of Oreo, Nabisco products, Chips Ahoy, premium crackers, be sure to avoid purchasing those products for the coming weeks. So this is from Willamette Week. It's a Oregon-based publication. They write, Oreo makers in Northeast Portland launch a national strike. The labor dispute follows years of Mondelez cutting employee pensions and having its unionized workforce by closing bakeries in New Jersey and Atlanta. Now, Mondelez is actually the parent company of Nabisco, I believe. And so what's happening is they are being asked to work longer hours. They're trying to stiff them when it comes to wages. And there's a really incredible video from In These Times that kind of talks about this. Now, the strike is taking place in multiple states, Oregon, Colorado, and Virginia. So what I want to do is I want to play a little bit of the In These Times video because it gives us some insight and some firsthand accounts from the workers here. So let's go ahead and take a look.
Can be forced to working up to 60, 70 days. I've personally worked 45 days in a row without a day off.
We want to be treated like we're people instead of like slaves.
The company has never given us anything, but corporate greed is taking everything away, and we'll be out here until we can stop corporate greed.
Now I'm going to jump ahead a little bit because they play some music that might get me copyright claimed, but I want to go to the stories from the workers because what they share, it's shocking, but it's not necessarily surprising. I'm not sure if anyone on the panel remembers the Frito-Lay strikes that just took place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that situation was resolved, and I say resolved in quotes because, I mean, they're still overworked and underpaid, but to a lesser extent, they get 1 day off per week. So, I mean, it's a small victory, but hopefully, we'll have a better outcome here in this situation. So let's see what they're talking about here, because what we're seeing is basically complete dehumanization, common stories in a late stage capitalist society.
Came with some demands in the last negotiation that were all takeaways. They wanted to take our overtime away. They wanted to put us on a 7-day work schedule, 12-hour days.
They currently want to change our overtime pay so that if you work all that time, you will end up eventually getting paid less for working that amount of time.
Your impact going to be about a $40,000 a year loss for all the workers across the board.
They've actually closed 2 factories recently, and they don't disclose where the production's going, but we know it's going to Mexico.
It sucks. I just turned 55 years old, got 37 years.
With the COVID-19, I don't know who's gonna hire me right now.
Everything going to Mexico, all of it.
I grew up with Nabisco products, Oreo, premium crackers, Chips Ahoys. I knew they were made here. I knew they were made around the corner for where I live. To see those things go to another country where people are making less pay and the company is still making billions, disheartening.
I've been here since 1987, so I guess it'd be 34, 35 years. This company has actually squeezed everything out of it they could.
They don't even want us to step onto the grass of the property, so they're putting a fence up right on the property line. They're basically kicking the employees to the curb.
We want the community to support us. We want America to support us. We don't want you to buy Nabisco products, not during our strike. When we come back to work, we want you to support Nabisco products, but only Nabisco products made in America. If you read the back of the label, it will say made in America, or made in Mexico, or made in Canada. And we want to keep our jobs in America. We want to keep middle class. And right now they're trying to destroy it all.
Well, that's basically the story. So I usually am very skeptical of boycotts because they tend to not work. Like, I mean, I've kind of long maintained that there's no ethical consumption under capitalism. But in instances like this, I think that this is our opportunity to truly show solidarity with the workers and not cross the picket line. So did anyone want to weigh in on this situation? Because I think this is really encouraging to see more and more strikes take place across the country.
Yeah, I think I agree with you that very often, these sorts of boycotts don't work. But when it's coming from the workers on strike themselves, that's when, you should be honoring those, and not when it's some sort of like for a political game. But it is sort of disappointing to not see, like, this is, I mean, of course I want the workers to get what they want, but this is an opportunity for like politicians to get involved. It's a win for them too. So, and they could absolutely be supporting these workers, supporting, American jobs. Could be a bipartisan effort as long as these workers, have their demands met. Everybody wins. It's sad to see that no one's sort of like even jumping on that wagon, even if it's, as selfish, if they're doing it selfishly or out of their own self-interest. It'll still benefit the workers. It'll still bring attention to their movement. So it really is a win-win. And, just seeing sort of a lack of, acknowledgement of it from politicians is kind of disappointing. But it's also nice, like you mentioned, the Frito-Lay protest and the Pepsi protests earlier. These protests, these strikes are getting more media attention than they have in the past, especially under Trump. It was sort of the news cycle was dominated by all of that. So it's nice, but it is nice to see these movements and these workers' movements getting the attention that they deserve. I mean, they deserve more, but at least getting acknowledgement.
Yeah, it's a good start. It's like a little bit of hopium. I like what you said about politicians. Dan, why don't we see more Democrats, the president even, like going there, standing in solidarity with these workers? I mean, their agenda is, they've been pushing for the PRO Act, and, they've had every excuse. There's these centrist Democrats, or I should say right-wing Democrats, who pose as centrists or LARP as centrists. I mean, this is a PR nightmare for people like Kirsten Sinema and Joe Manchin. If the president of the United States shows up with these workers and says, listen, this is why we need to pass the PRO Act. Why aren't my Democratic Party members in the Senate standing in solidarity with these workers? Like, don't you think that this is a really unique moment and a political opportunity? Like, why aren't Democrats seizing on this?
Yeah, obviously it's a political opportunity, and I think we're Ray, you're right to tap into this. We need to. I don't like to advocate for what other people do, but like personally, what I want to be doing is making sure I'm spending time on things like this on my stream. Educating myself and others on these things. But that's because I'd like to think I'm on the side of the worker, and Democrats aren't. They're just another wing, I believe, of the right party, of the party on the right, of the capitalist. They're not proletariat. They right. want to support their capitalist overlords. So with that said, I don't know. I don't have like a huge take on this. It just seems like, okay, hello, profit motive. You're really being a pain in the ass yet again. I'd like for you to fuck off. I'm sorry. Can I swear?
You have to say at least 2 curse words throughout the course of it. That's the requirement.
All right. I'm going to save up the rest of them then.
You got at least one more that you have to do.
For sure. So I'm thinking to myself, and I'm going to go ahead and echo what Ray said as well. I'm thinking about, as I'm learning about Palestine and what they're the occupied are saying, what they're asking for, which is BDS, and I think we should BDS mandalas. We should boycott, divest, and sanction them, and all the above. Yeah, don't buy it, and just listen to them, and that's pretty much who I defer to when I don't know shit about shit. I defer to people who know more than me.
Yeah, for sure. I'm curious with Anthony. So you're relatively new to politics. You're very young, but you're kind of seeing something that I didn't see when I first started to really pay attention to politics. And that's a lot of really like on the ground grassroots activism. And usually unions, they kind of lead the way with this. So I don't think that these workers would have been able to even organize a strike had it not been for them being part of a union. So how much do you think unionization is going to come into play for the future of leftist politics, and how frequent do you think these types of strikes are going to be based on your experience so far with politics?
Yeah, so I used to live in Korea, where unions are demonized as just another rich capitalist pigs who refuse to actually work for the workers. So I'm still trying to get rid of that sentiment, anti-union sentiment. But with that in mind, I do think that unions are becoming a more, how should I say, prominent in U.S. politics, and especially left politics. But again, I'm a new YouTuber and I'm relatively new to politics, so I can't give much knowledgeable insight into these stuff. But what I do think is that unions they will become, I think, to play more prominent roles in politics and I just hope that with unions being more involved in politics, there'll be actual worker concessions rather than lip service and just status quo, nothing changing. So that's what I think thoughts are.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. That's interesting. Hopefully you'll be able to share some more experiences of your time in Korea, because I always like to kind of compare and contrast like what the situation is there for workers and labor and whatnot. Christina, I'm not sure if you've had similar situations, but like when I worked at Walmart, kind of moving into the union talk, I remember seeing like an anti-union propaganda video, and I was shocked by it. And I was the only one of my coworkers who was so flabbergasted. Like I asked them about it, and I'm like, hey, what do you think about that anti-union propaganda video? Isn't that kind of crazy? And their response was just kind of, yeah, I don't really know much about unions, so it doesn't really bother me. What is your, like, in terms of like where your neck of the woods is, like what is the overall sentiment towards unions? Because I think that if people knew what unions were and how useful they were, they would be accepted. But I think a lot of people just don't know. Like, can you give your general thoughts on this?
Yes. Well, I'm originally from New Jersey, which is actually where they're striking for the Nabisco. So my sister is a teacher, so she's in a teachers union. And even though they are in a union, she's like, we still struggle a little bit because there's some anti-union rhetoric that goes around New Jersey. But in South Carolina, we hate unions. Like I clean for teachers who can't get tenure because there's, no protection for that down here. So one thing's for sure is with all the anti-union propaganda being fed, it's a lot harder for places like Amazon workers in Alabama to unionize because they're fed all that propaganda.
Yeah, and that's the thing. This is why unionization, I think it's going to be an increasingly more prominent part of leftism. And there's been a lot of podcasts who have been doing a great job at teaching people how to form unions. I remember a really long and comprehensive Chapo Trap House episode on this very subject. I think people don't know. And once you kind of educate people about what they're missing, it really does make a difference. Now, that's not to say that if you have a union, everything is going to be peachy keen, because of course, the people who we just watched, they don't have a union, unfortunately. But again, it does open the door. It gives you some more leverage that you wouldn't otherwise have, which is really important, especially if you're overworked, because, if you're overworked and you don't have a union, there's not a lot that you can do, because they can easily just replace you with someone else who's desperate and willing to, do the same thing. So I think that unions are really important. But the strike, absolutely. I just want to encourage people, do not buy Nabisco products. So I live in Oregon, and whenever I drive by the Nabisco facility, it smells incredible. And so I always, want to purchase Chips Ahoy or Oreos. So I promise I will not cross that picket line until this is over. I will not do that if I drive by it. So I want to get to a story that I don't think a lot of people know about. This is a relatively breaking story. So this is from Jeff Stein of the Washington Post. So Ron Wyden announces legislation that he says would end homelessness in the United States. Now, I just want to pause for a moment. He says this would end homelessness in the United States. So that is something that we've never even, I think, attempted in a meaningful way before. Dan, did you want to jump in?
I'm just going to start right here. Our president, his name is Joe Budden, and he's great. Everyone loves him. No one hates him. And the thing is,
I love him so much.
He points at a place like Cuba. I don't know if you could see my shirt. I got a Castro shirt on.
Oh, let me blow it up.
And it says 638 to 0. I think that's how many times they tried to coup. How many times they tried to coup him.
Wow.
And it didn't work. Now, our president points at a place like Cuba, and they say he says oh, that's a failed state. And in my head, I'm like, holy shit, what? Because I've just been looking into housing for about a month. And he called it a failed state. And I'm like, wait, hold on. Cuba has 0 homeless people. None. In children, no homeless children. In the United States, we have 500,000 homeless people. 1/5 of them are kids. So that means 100,000 Americans are homeless children. What is this Spider-Man pointing at itself failed state bullshit, dude? I think what we're doing, I think what Biden's doing is just pointing at Cuba, and we're just rubbing it in their face that they're just one failed state, and we're 50 plus failed states. Take that, Cuba. Now, with that said, I took a look at the things, and it seems like a lot of it that Ron Wyden is talking about is just tax credits to end homelessness. Okay, now these things aren't bad. Okay, they're, I think, objectively good, but homeless people don't do their taxes. Okay, tax credits aren't going to end their homelessness. So I think there's a fatal flaw in this plan.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to bring up the plan here. So this is the Dash Act. So the goal is housing everyone experiencing homelessness within 5 years and prioritizing children and families for placement by issuing them a housing choice voucher, because young children are heavily impacted by housing instability and because housing is a chief determinant of health. Now, I'm glad that you pointed that out, Dan, because that really is the key word. So when we say housing choice voucher, this word choice is a little bit sus to me. I don't know if anybody wants to jump in and explain why that's an issue, but if it's not already apparent. But this says a lot about this plan.
Housing for all who want it. I read that. I was like, it immediately made me think of the, oh my God, the Kennedy tweet where he was like, people are going to be losing their houses and evicted because of this COVID crisis. Every single person deserves an attorney to represent them.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Court.
Oh my God.
I mean, and I of course, I know I don't mean to be too doomer pilled about this. I mean, but I think we can all agree that this will never pass. But I mean, it's really good just to bring this into the conversation. You know, how often?
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm sorry, he's not necessarily, when I think of progressive senators, he's not the first person that comes to my mind. So having him talking about, you know, we can end homelessness is helpful. And it shifts the Overton window from like talking about the homelessness crisis in such an abstract term that doesn't, you know, give a face to these people who are really struggling and some of the most vulnerable people in society. And this is not just like discussing them as a problem, but, you know, as human beings that need assistance. So I think it even just like, if the plan itself is not perfect and won't pass, just having it in the conversation is important, in my opinion. Also, I'm sorry, I keep adjusting in my chair. I'm bisexual, so I can't sit normal.
Same here. Can't do it.
I love it. I love it. No, I think that I totally agree with that. I think that him trying to end homelessness, that really is ambitious. It's nice to see. And I want to give him credit where it's due. Having said that, though, part of the problem is that housing in the United States is a commodity when it really shouldn't be, kind of like healthcare. I mean, there are some things that shouldn't have this profit incentive, in my opinion. Housing is one of them. So when I see housing choice, I think, okay, this is a giveaway to, you know, these gigantic companies, you know, landlords. And really what we need is we need public housing where people don't have to go through the private sector. They just get housing when they're homeless. That is the more affordable plan. And most importantly, it's the most moral plan. Do you want to weigh in on this, Christina? Am I being too doomer here?
I mean, no. We just know what to expect here. Now, I have a little story because we do have homelessness where I live. And there's this man who he just wanders around town with his giant lab. I feel so bad for him and the dog. They lay by the mall that's abandoned. He used to lay behind this like garbage dump behind a Pizza Hut that's been closed down. And they completely blocked it off because that's where he would spend most of his time. So it's just, Utah does a better job at their homeless situation. They actually have like a program where they house them and help them get them back on their feet. I remember the Daily Show covered this story when Jon Stewart was still hosting, and they realized that it was actually a lot cheaper to do that than actually keep these people on the streets.
Yeah, and I wish that like mainstream media would do that kind of a thing. You made me think of anti-homeless architecture that we're seeing, and I don't know, I think it was this picture, somebody photoshopped it as like the rainbow to make it kind of like explain the hallmark of neoliberalism, where it's like, we're more equitable in our cruelty. I wanted to ask Anthony about your experience in Korea as it relates to homelessness. Do you know if there is an issue or a policy response to homelessness? Is it as rampant there? What are your overall, what's your experience here?
So in Korea, there is an general policy against homelessness. People see housing as a right mostly. I mean, there's obviously caveats because this is still a capitalist country, but it's mostly like, yeah, when I ask my teachers or whoever about homelessness, they usually respond with, yeah, that's not really a problem here. It's mostly an American thing. Like when people think of America, especially in Korea, they first of all think that America is some god, which I see as very problematic. But other than that, they also think of like homelessness, like people on the streets, those pictures of cities where like people are lining up to, I don't know, get housing or something. I'm not sure. But yeah, my experience with homelessness is I was not familiar with it until I came to the US, and I really was surprised when I went to the cities and like saw so much homeless people on the streets, and I was like appalled because it's really cruel in the richest country in the world that people can't have housing. Like you can, but the government won't. So I think it's appalling. That's just my general view on it.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting. I wanted to ask you, Anthony, did your perception change when you came to America? Because culturally in Korea, it seems like America is kind of like propped up as this like wonderful place. I think a lot of people kind of visualize the American dream. Like, did your perception change at all? I'm not sure how old you were when you came here, but like, was it like a shock to you when you saw kind of how cruel we are here? Like, I'm curious.
Yeah, so actually, in Korea, we call America Mi국, and since Korea uses Chinese symbols as a backdrop to their language, the first letter Mi stands for beautiful, like beautiful country. Literally means beautiful country. That just tells you how much we idealize America as this perfect savior. Like they saved us from communism. Oh yay! That kind of thing. And I did believe in that. I thought America will be all that's great. When we come here, everything will be so fantastic, liberty, freedom, whatever. Yeah, I realized that that was a very dumb take to have. But again, I was 12. Please excuse me.
You are forgiven.
Yeah. But yeah, it was so certainly a cultural shock. Like when I first came here, like, I mean, it's already cost a lot of money to come to the US as an immigrant. It really costs a lot of money. So, I mean, I didn't experience homelessness or anything near it. So I guess I'm fortunate in that regard. But I did have a really cultural shock when I see people sitting at subway stations without homes, in streets, begging for money. Like, I have never, like, not never, but like I've like seen like that twice in my lifetime in Korea. So it was really a shock, and it did change my perception of America to this, from this wonderful, yay, lovely utopia to shithole. So.
Yeah, I'm curious what Christina, Rayvana, and Dan have to say, because anyone who I know from either the UK or Canada, their perception is actually entirely different. It's always like, wow, Americans are crazy. And I tend to side with like that one where it's like, okay, we really are like that stereotype. Like we really are like the people who you see like all these viral videos of anti-vaxxers freaking, like we really are. I think that is my experience. Like, I don't know, does anyone here have international friends that have given them their perspective of how they perceive America? Because I always find this fascinating.
My grandmother is from Germany, so I call her Oma, and she's lived here for like since like 1960, so for like most of her life. So, and she just doesn't understand why why things have gone downhill, and she's just like, I don't understand, Christina, why is this happening? But she's getting a little older, so sometimes she gets fooled into believing silly things. So we're like, no, Oma, that's not true. But it seems like the European have like this belief that America is great and stuff like that, while those who are like minority groups or Asian, Latino, they have vastly different experience for sure, because there's still that white privilege for a lot of those who are European and Canadian.
That's true. That's a great point. Yeah, that's interesting to me. I always like to think about how we're perceived, because oftentimes, like, if I'm talking to someone online who is from the UK or something like that, it's like, yeah, I'm an American. Please don't think I'm crazy or very loud and obnoxious. I mean, I am, right? But I'm like the good kind of obnoxious, I guess. No, that's probably not true. Okay. So I have a story. So I just found this before I went live, and I had to talk about this. So I just want to play a quick video for you all. There's not going to be any audio, but I just want you to make some observations. And if you don't already know, then I'll tell you why this might be an issue. So you see people here, lots and lots of people, over 100 people, all partying, having a good time, mingling, having some cocktails. And if you didn't notice, this individual is the governor of Texas. This is Greg Abbott. Now, one day after this took place, Greg Abbott tested positive for COVID-19. So I just want to go back. We'll kind of scan through it again. I counted 0 masks. 0 masks. He is not wearing a mask. And every single person in this room is now exposed to COVID-19. Now, the reason why this is so interesting is because I'm going to read a little bit. This is from the Texas Tribune. Governor Greg Abbott of Texas tested positive for coronavirus on Tuesday and is receiving an antibody treatment, though he has no symptoms, the governor's office announced. Now, here's where it gets interesting. An ardent opponent of mask and vaccine mandates, Mr. Abbott, a Republican, has taken his opposition to such requirements all the way to the state Supreme Court. Mr. Abbott, who is fully vaccinated, will now be isolated in the governor's mansion while receiving monoclonal, I probably butchered that word, antibody treatment, which can help patients who are at risk of getting very sick. Folks, is this not like the perfect illustration as to why masks are really important?
Someone in chat said that this is Obama's birthday party, and I can't stop laughing.
That's actually really
these
perfect.
people are so old. I'm sorry. If they get COVID, that's it. Game over. If they're not vaccinated, rolled by Governor Abbott. That sucks. Like,
I love the nicknames. Like, Ron DeSantis is becoming like Ron DeSantis now.
Right.
I mean, these Republican governors are not taking it seriously. And honestly, it's like, if they get COVID, I'm not going to be sad about that. Why should I be?
It's just like, I had two thoughts initially when I saw that video after I learned that he tested positive. It's like, one, how many of these people who are really old, probably vulnerable, are going to die? And two, how many of them are donors? Like, how many of them help him get elected? And to see all of them like living it up, I don't know if I don't know. Dan, do you have anything to say? I'm trying to bite my tongue.
No worries. Was that video were they in Texas? I don't know where that video was taken.
So this is the Heritage Ranch. It's a Republican club in Texas, I believe.
Okay. So Texas is behind the nationwide average. I mean, 51% of people in the nation are fully vaccinated. I think in Texas, that's at least 5% behind that. So less than half the people in that audience were, I'm just maybe more because there's old people. Maybe they wanted to get it, but there's likely a lot of people in that room that are fucking.
Oh, we lost them. He'll be right back. I'll bring him in.
Are they playing the Village People?
Also, I'm sorry. Is it Heritage Ranch? Is that what it's called?
Yes.
Sounds about white. Okay.
Right.
Sounds fitting. Heritage.
Yeah, it definitely fitting. Let me get back to Dan. Dan, you were cut off, so let you finish your thought there.
I was just
you
trying to
swore
say that
one too many times. You had to.
I had to kick you.
It cut me off. It was the deep state. So all I was getting at was it just seems to me that a lot of people in that room made a bad decision. But that's what you get when you have people that don't understand science when they think that they do.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just this to me is this keeps happening, and I don't think that Greg Abbott is going to feel bad at all that he infected possibly more than 100 people. I mean, how cruel was it when Donald Trump, he had that rally, I can't remember where it was, but Herman Cain ended up dying who attended that rally. Tulsa. There were no masks, and did Trump even shed a single tear for his friend and political ally? I don't think so. So, I mean, at some point you've got to think, okay, these Republicans are now killing each other. Are they ever going to get the picture?
Let them fight.
The
I'm trying.
Turning Point also got at that rally, right?
Yes. Oh my God. I'm trying so hard to not say anything bad. I'm trying not to crap dance, but these people are so fucking stupid. Anthony, I don't want to corrupt your young mind because you're young and you're probably more optimistic. So give us a little bit of hopium, if you can.
I mean, I really want to be optimistic and all that, I want to be bright. I want to give hope and give a cause or whatever. But I just recently visited my parents in Korea. Not my parents, my grandparents in Korea, and everyone was wearing masks. Even people who are conservative and are angry about the minimum wage or whatever. They're all wearing masks. They're even wearing it outside all the time during hotter weather than in California, if you can believe it. So I really want to believe that we can have a better world, and all that. But I can't help but be skeptical when half the country in this lovely place don't wear masks. I'm confused. How can I be optimistic?
This is interesting. I'm glad that you brought that up because in Korea, the masks aren't a political thing. They're not even if you're conservative politically in Korea, this isn't controversial, is it? Do you ever see anti-mask viral videos out of Korea or anywhere else in the world?
I mean, in Korea, I never see one. I mean, I'm sure that if that came out, the government would flag it as misinformation, and then people will troll that person forever. And as for other countries, I haven't really seen. I mean, maybe there are. I'm pretty sure there is. There's the Brazilian president, but mostly I think it's really about a U.S. thing. This mask opposition movement that makes so much scientific sense.
Yeah. I just posted a video today on my channel of an individual who I am calling the final boss of anti-vaxxers, who went in front of, I think it was the San Diego Board of Supervisors, and he was screaming at the top of his lungs saying that the United States government violated the Nuremberg Code. It's to the point where 5 years ago or 6 years ago, I started off as this really bright-eyed optimist, and this pandemic has made me the most misanthropic person who has no faith in humanity. Please tell me that you all are more hopeful than I am, because I feel like I am going crazy. Rayvana, give me some hopium if you have it, please.
I was actually about to give you the opposite of that.
No!
Today, there was a report out about Facebook misinformation that, pointed to the fact that 3%ers, Boogaloo Boys, and Proud Boys are tapping into this misinformation market on Facebook to recruit, which is why we're seeing more and more violent anti-mask protests, which is, what led to the person being stabbed at the anti-vaccine protest in LA, which is insane. Holy fuck. Someone went there to literally just to do crime, to do violence, and Facebook hasn't really taken any action against, not in any serious way. In fact, they were giving those people certified expert badges in those groups.
Oh,
So like you
no.
could be a Proud Boy whose only accomplishment in life is I don't know, screaming outside of a government building. Now you're a certified expert and qualified to speak on vaccinations. So
Oh,
I'm sorry, I was super doomer
no.
pill today. But as far as hopium goes, like cats and dogs still exist, and they're better than us.
Yes, and we have a segment later on in the show honoring their wonderfulness. No, I'm glad that you brought up Facebook. So I don't use Facebook super frequently, but I logged on last week, and all of my friends and former coworkers, nothing but anti-vax, anti-mask memes, and I was like genuinely crushed. Like my spirit died. So I made this really long post, and I don't know how many friends I lost. I lost quite a bit who deleted me. But Facebook, like after seeing all of that, I'm convinced, and this is anecdotal, but it's more widespread than my anecdote. Facebook is a misinformation machine, and humanity as a whole would be better off if we just like deleted it from existence and erased all of our minds of it ever being a thing. Christina, do you see a lot of Facebook misinformation yourself? Because I'm shocked that like I don't expect to see it. Like I hear about it, but when I log on and I see it, it's like, oh no, they've reached my normie friends now. Like.
Yeah, I need to add you, but also like
yes.
I've done my best to like delete anybody that is like like all going through like the new agers, because a lot of people are like, how are those people getting involved? I'm like, trust me, if they're into like bougie like natural medicine, they're gonna believe that crap about vaccines and masks. But my mother has experienced more of that because she doesn't really do politics. But and she does like getting involved, but she's like, oh my God, Christina, there's someone who says that we need to get in a bunker because Biden is like doing so many weird things and he's preparing us for war and Trump's going to be reelected on September 31st. And I'm just like,
what is that bitch coming back? He keeps playing with us. It was supposed to be last Friday. He's not there.
Teasing us, man. Like,
yeah.
come on.
March 4th, September. It's like, okay, I'm starting to think that he might not show up. I don't know. I'm losing a little bit of faith in our.
Trust the plan, Mike. Trust the plan.
I'm holding out faith a little bit longer, but you know, our orange god has to return. Dan, I want to ask
at one point.
Say that again.
Trump and I had Twitter beef at one point.
Oh, that's to get into a beef with Trump or Neera Tanden. I think that gives you clout. I got into a beef with Neera Tanden one time on Twitter, and she blocked me.
And Ben Shabibo too. So.
Oh, that's like in the top 10 of like people who you want to fight on Twitter.
Was your beef fun with Neera? She blocked me because I liked a comment or a reply to her that was like kind of mean. That was enough. I didn't even get to have a fun back and forth.
I don't remember what the back and forth was in particular. It might have been about Medicare for All or something like that. But she went back and forth with me for a little bit, and then she quickly blocked me. And then I'm like, oh my God, I got blocked by Neera Tanden. Like I actually feel really cool. Like I accomplished something. Like it's kind of like a badge of honor, and like I shared it, and everyone was cheering me on. It's like I feel like I like just got a diploma or something. Like that's incredible. But I want to. A PhD something. Dan, I wanted to ask you because I think that I'm seeing two camps emerge as it relates to anti-vaxxers. One camp is we need to really try to educate them, meet them at their level, and try to, be soft and gentle. Another approach is bully and shame the fuck out of them. Which camp do you fall into?
I'm honestly not sure. Whatever the fuck works. I think, honestly, things, and I'm surprised to hear myself say this at this point, but we just had Lollapalooza in our city a couple of weeks back here in Chicago. And I don't know, they seem to be trying to tell us that it didn't lead to a big spike, and that makes me a little skeptical. But what am I trying to get at here? Wait, what was the question? Dear God,
like,
where are we?
Bully or the bully approach or the love approach? Stick or carrot?
So I don't know. My answer at the top is I don't know. But I do think that doing things like, just making sure, like demanding that when people go places, they have either, I think, get the vaccine, just proof of vaccine.
Right.
And maybe I don't know enough about it to make a big broad stroke like that. But what I'm trying to get at is that, like, by making all the kids show up who were showing up to Lollapalooza, either show proof that they've been vaccinated or they've had a negative test, a lot of those kids are not going to risk a $500 ticket going to the fucking gates and getting turned away So I think some of those kids are getting those vaccines. I think we need to do similar things like that, just all over the fucking place. Just, you know what, if you want to do the thing, just get the vaccine. But I don't know exactly how to do that. So I'm thinking every point of leverage we should try. And I think I think bullying works to an extent. I don't know how much. We've seen bullying work on the old Twitter.com. I don't know if it's working to get people to get the vaccine.
Yeah.
But also I've heard states are paying people to go and get the vaccine, and even paying people to drive their friends to get the vaccine. Or I've heard things like that, or those kinds of talks. And I think whatever the fuck works. You know what? We need to save this goddamn world. And I think people are dumb for not having gotten the vaccine yet, especially if they've been able to. You know, there's no reason for them to not to. Like, yeah, they're fucking dumb, and I fucking hate it. But just let's move on with our fucking lives. I want to go to the bar. I want to sit at the bar and have and ask the bartender for a cocktail, and then for them to look at me disdainfully, and then after a couple minutes give me the cocktail. I cannot wait to do that in a comfortable way.
To take Malort shots with your servers.
I've had friends who've gotten COVID, and I'm like, and I never go out, but I'm kind of missing the idea of going out. And I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but some of the like those who got their shots in like December are starting to get COVID now because the vaccines are wearing off. So it's like booster shot time.
Yeah, I have a virologist and an epidemiologist coming on my show tomorrow. I mean, it won't be aired tomorrow, but this is something that's really interesting to me and concerning that I'm definitely going to ask about. It's like the decreased efficacy over time to an extent. But this is my thing. Like, we should be doing, I agree with you, Dan, about like everything that we can. My goal, and I hope that everyone will rally around this, the goal is to eradicate this virus before Anthony turns 21 so he can have a normal 21st birthday. Like, I feel like that's the most humane thing.
Wait,
Anthony, are you down?
How old are you?
Oh, I'm 15.
Oh my goodness! What? How are you so cool? What the fuck? When I was your age, I sucked.
I was so dumb when I was Anthony's age. So Anthony, like you are like a role model for people your age. Like I'm so impressed.
Thank you. I don't know what else to say.
That's right. You are the moment. I love it.
Yes. The voice of the youth.
Oh God.
Okay. I know. God, I don't want to think about that. So we were kind of touching on the worst of society. So I think that since we're kind of going further and further into this black hole before we pull ourselves out of it, I want to dive deeper and get to this week's weekly dose of stupidity, which is very, very bizarre.
In a world of politics dominated by the strange, the deranged, and outright insane, we'll now take a moment to shine a light on the craziest of what politics has to offer. This is your weekly dose of stupidity.
Run by communist sympathizers who reject the higher.
So the entire time, I'm pretty sure that was already talking. So you heard it over the outro, or the intro, excuse me. So this dude ruined the intro. So now we get to go extra hard because he ruined it. So this is a Newsmax host. I think that the title says a lot. The godless left, people you don't want in power over you. He is going to discuss climate change. Now, he is very confident. And on top of that, he is going to basically say that all of us who believe in climate change because it's objectively real, we're in a cult. He doesn't say this explicitly, but he kind of alludes to it. So let's take a listen here.
Like communist China, YouTube is preventing its users from even hearing from people who believe in the power of prayer because YouTube is run by communist sympathizers who reject the higher power belief system.
Now, I just want to pause it there. So I don't know about everyone else. We're all content creators here. How many of you got one of your prayer videos deleted from YouTube? I actually got one of mine deleted. Ray, did you ever?
I got a stream zucked, not by YouTube, but by Twitch. Honestly, though, I was wearing, it's more misogynistic than anything. I was wearing a tube top, and for one tiny part of the stream, I had slouched in my chair low enough so that you couldn't see where my shirt started. You just saw my shoulders and upwards. and I got that stream taken down for nudity, which was like not my ideologies. I've never had that, but I know a lot of leftist content creators who have had their videos taken down for seemingly no reason. But yeah, like the idea that it's some sort of communist overlord deciding what gets taken down on like these types of platforms is hilarious.
Oh, if only.
Yeah, I mean the religious videos, like some of these pastors, they are massive on YouTube, like bigger than all of us combined. So I don't know what he's talking about really, but nonetheless, he's gonna explain a little bit further.
Keep in mind, YouTube allows the religion of man-made global warming, a theory that has not been proven through science. There's no mathematical proof out there that states that X amount of man-made CO2 yields Y amount of temperature change. But YouTube takes man-made global warming, that theory, on faith. How ironic. And we all know how worshippers of man-made global warming show their devotion to the climate change deity. They push to deny individual rights to human beings as a sacrifice to their God. YouTube fully on board with that.
Okay, now before we discuss, I just want to go back because when he dropped that line about we take our climate change on faith, in his mind he thought, "Oh my God, I just nailed it!" Mic drop right here. Let me find that again. I don't know where it was.
How ironic.
On faith. How ironic.
On faith. How ironic.
How ironic. How ironic, he says, without a shred of irony.
I mean, look, if we can turn climate change into a cult, and if that somehow galvanizes people to actually take action, let's do that. At this point, I'm so desperate that I am willing to try anything. But I mean, a Newsmax host who is an evangelical, I'm assuming, is going to call people who believe in climate change basically a cult who are basing their belief in climate change not necessarily on science, but on faith. It's just... This makes me feel like we truly are living in the most bizarre timeline imaginable. Christina, please talk me off the ledge because I'm about to jump in Roblox after watching that.
So, like, when they believe in something that's like faith, it's fine. But if we believe it in faith, it's bad. It's not true. What?
Yeah. I mean, if I were somebody who was religious, I wouldn't necessarily want to push this idea that faith is bad. But he is religious, and he's saying our faith in the science, I guess, of climate change is bad. So this just the irony, like as Ray was pointing out, like what he's saying is ironic. Yeah, it's ironic, but not for the reasons why he thinks it is. Dan, did you want to jump in here?
Absolutely. I agreed with literally everything he said, only because I don't know what words mean. You know, I just listen to the words and I just completely tune out. It's really great how some people have this special way of taking words that we all, words are just ideas, sounds that point towards ideas, you know what I mean? And I love how the guy took all these sounds and that are pointing towards sort of ideas that we're all used to them pointing towards. And then he points towards an idea that's a little bit off to the side of that one. And then he just kept doing it over and over and over again. And at the end, I was like, wow, this guy's great. I love his stuff. All right, so yeah, how do I dig into this? So the word religion, okay, no. And the word faith, oh my God, no. And I used to do this thing where I would actually interview people about faith, and I would ask them, what it means, and I would have to ask them their definition. I don't think I use faith. It's not a thing I would do if I realized I was doing it, but. So that's why I asked their definition of faith. So it's just so hard to even pick this apart because you can't have that conversation. With that said, there's so much to say about what's actually happening in terms of climate change that is actually real and measurable. If I had to define faith, I would call it unjustified confidence. You know what I mean? And do we have unjustified confidence in global warming? No. Does anyone have eyes? Like, we've had heat waves more intense than in any time of our lives, led to wildfires. There's smoke everywhere around these places. You can't go outside. Salmon's dying off because the water's too hot. The North Pole is hotter than it's ever been. 2020 being the hottest year on record. It's fucking with the jet streams. There's a there's a wildfire in Siberia bigger than all of the other wildfires in the world combined. And I'm just not really especially, I'm not feeling optimistic about things. I'm sorry I'm not able to help you on that front, folks. But, we got the permafrost melting. That's gonna release a bunch of methane and carbon and perhaps more bacteria. Who knows how many more? Maybe we might see COVID-20 hanging out in there.
Yeah.
We're going to go through the German alphabet next. Ready for the
Right.
variant.
A, B, C. So it's just not looking good. The western sea shelf of Antarctica has enough water to raise sea levels by 3 meters itself. So I'm thinking we need to stop arguing with dumb fucking people. Not that we're doing this right now. Like every moment that we spend, dealing with these absolute schmucks, it's a moment that we can't spend working towards fixing the problem. But we got to talk about them because they're there. They're part of it. I'm not saying what we're doing is wrong.
Yeah, no, I mean, to this point, anyone who denies the reality of anthropogenic climate change, I think that they're just delusional, which is why a lot of people, unlike this Newsmax person, they've gotten a little bit more savvy. Like a lot of Republicans, if you listen now, they won't just say, oh, climate change isn't real. They'll say, oh, well, climate is, it's always changing. It's just man didn't do it. And they have to move that goalpost because now we are literally in a situation where we can see the effects of climate change in real time. I mean, if you live in the Pacific Northwest, as I do, we had a record-breaking heat wave not too long ago that ended up being a mass death casualty. More than 100 people died. And this was not even more than a year after we experienced wildfires that made the air quality in Portland literally hazardous. Past the record, I think like the max on the air quality index is 400. Our air quality was so bad it was like almost 600, which is the worst, like actually toxic to everyone to go outside. So I mean, we're all seeing it. It's just a matter of like, what are we going to do about it now? So the people like this Newsmax host, to be so confident and proclaim that climate change doesn't exist. I mean, this is proof. Or maybe it's just faith in the belief that Dunning-Kruger is a real thing. Because, I mean, to be that stupid and that confident simultaneously is almost like commendable because, wow. As Tyler Hackner says, dystopian capitalist hellscape we live in. Absolutely. Absolutely. As Brand points out, over 1,000 total from the heat wave died. So I think that's across the country overall. So denying it is not going to do any of us any good. But having said that, though, I do want to move on to, let me see what I had on the agenda next. So going to back into Doomer mode. I'm sorry, I don't have a lot of like nice stories today, but we do have the pet segment towards the end. So I promise you it's going to end on a positive note. But I was one of the individuals who was praising Biden in the beginning, specifically because I think that he was competent in addressing COVID-19 and the juxtaposition between him and Donald Trump. I mean, it's a world of difference, right? So it's hard to not like what he's doing, at least at first. But times are changing. Delta variant is here, and Walker Bragman eloquently explains that Joe Biden is now failing at fighting the pandemic because now this is on him and he's not doing enough. So we're going to scroll down and he's going to speak specifically about why Joe Biden is not doing enough. So federal inaction. Earlier this month, New York City became the first government in the nation to require proof of vaccination for indoor activities and shows. But so far, no other local or state governments have followed its lead, even though a recent Hill-Harris X poll found that 3/4 of Americans support reinstating mask mandates in their area to stem infections. The White House and Congress, meanwhile, have declined to implement major pandemic control measures. The Biden administration has largely favored private sector incentives, individual choices, and state action to slow the pandemic over federal mandates, even as Republican legislatures and governors prematurely ended federal pandemic unemployment benefits. The administration's response has been tacit acceptance. In April, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said that there would be no federal vaccinations database or a federal mandate requiring everyone to obtain a single vaccination credential, even though a Kaiser Family Foundation survey in June found that requiring vaccines to fly or attend large social gatherings would encourage roughly 40% of the unvaccinated to reconsider. Now, legally speaking, the president of the United States doesn't have unlimited power, but he can do things to incentivize vaccinations and accelerate this process. And if he were to mandate vaccinations to travel, that would have a really substantial difference, make a difference potentially. He's also shied away from structural reforms that could potentially help with the vaccine rollout. One such reform would be federally guaranteed paid time off. An Axios Ipsos poll from last month found that 25% of unvaccinated Americans would be more likely to get the shot if they had paid leave to do so. This is also key because I oftentimes talk about anti-vaxxers on the program, but a lot of people just they can't take time off. And if you are going to take a shot and you're expecting side effects for a couple of days, I mean, I think you're going to want to take time off. It's only natural. The American Rescue Plan offered a tax credit to qualifying employers who provided their workers paid leave to get vaccinated. Some states, like New York, now require employers to provide workers time off to get vaccinated, but 18 states have laws on the books barring local governments from implementing paid leave policies. While Congress has made COVID vaccines free, our for-profit healthcare system has made the crisis much worse. Now, this is interesting right here. One recent study by the nonpartisan consumer health advocacy group Families USA found that roughly 1 of every 3 COVID deaths and 40% of infections were attributable to health insurance gaps that would not exist under a single-payer system. According to a Kaiser Family Foundation poll from June, the demographic with the lowest percentage of vaccination is the uninsured. Another Kaiser Family Foundation poll in May found that a third of unvaccinated Americans were concerned about the out-of-pocket costs of getting vaccinated. So there's this issue of people who just don't want to get the vaccine because they're brainwashed. You know, they've fallen victim to misinformation through Facebook. But there's also a substantial amount of people, not an insignificant amount of people, who think that if they go get the vaccine, they're going to be charged because our rapacious healthcare system, I mean, there's usually hidden costs everywhere. So in terms of grading Joe Biden at this point, I think that he's failing miserably. I think he was off to a great start. And little by little, as he refuses to take action and adapt as the situation in the United States changes, he gets, a worse grade from me. Dan, any thoughts on this in terms of like what we can do? Because I feel like if we don't get this under control by 2024, when a Republican president takes over, then it's going to be just permanent and bad. I mean, not that it won't already be endemic, but what are your thoughts on this in terms of like Biden's performance?
In terms of Biden performance, his performance, I'm not in love with it. It seems to me, and again, we just had Lollapalooza, but it seems to me that we reopened too quickly, and it's easy to sort of point at the Delta variant and the line going up across the United States. I think I had some figures important that I wanted to pull up here. Our 7-day average right now in the United States is 139,000 cases in the 7-day average, the last 7 days. The last time we saw that was beginning of February. This is some frightening shit, dude. And I guess I realized I didn't read this article until now, and my mind is sort of blown that you just told me that roughly 1 out of every 3 COVID deaths were attributable to the for-profit healthcare system that we have. And if we had a single-payer system, they would have saved 200,000. Did they just put 200,000 deaths on the for-profit healthcare system? Is that right? Did I read that correctly?
Let me go back. Let's see here.
Because on average, there's studies that show 45 to 65,000 people in the United States die every year because they can't afford healthcare. I think they just put 200,000 deaths because there's roughly 600,000 deaths.
40% of infections. So I'm not necessarily sure about
one of every 3 COVID deaths.
COVID deaths and 40% of infections. Okay, yeah. I mean, it's a gigantic number.
Damn.
And what's weird to me is that you would think that if anything would have moved the goal or the needle for single payer, it would be a global pandemic. but Biden actually even backtracked on the public option. So we're living in bizarro times. And Rayvana, I wanted to ask you about your thoughts on the CDC's response. So before Delta hit the United States, they announced, okay, no more mask mandates. We're going back to normal. I remember Rochelle Walensky, the CDC director, went on Rachel Maddow, and there was just like, they were both smiling ear to ear. Rachel Maddow was like, "Is this it? Is this over?" And Rochelle Walensky was like, "Yeah, we're confident in the diseases." She didn't say it was over, to be clear, but they were confident in the vaccines, and they thought that would kind of encourage people to get vaccinated. Here we are, months later, and now masks are required or needed again. And what are your thoughts on the CDC's handling? Because I know it's difficult to draft public health messaging, but that call in June was a nightmare, in my opinion. What are your thoughts?
Oh, I fully agree. I actually, I'm a content creator for Rebel HQ on YouTube, and one of my last videos was about Biden's favorability oh my God, what's the word I'm looking for?
Approval?
His approval rating for the pandemic specifically went down 16 points between May and now. Actually, I think it might have just been in the last month, if I'm not mistaken. And my video had so many libs in there screaming at me about how, we didn't know it was the Delta variant and blah and blah and blah. And I mean, in my video, I didn't necessarily take too much of a, I didn't create too much of a narrative, or didn't even give Biden too much flack about it. But I do think it's his poor messaging and the CDC's poor messaging. It was a political move. Like, I don't see it as anything else. The Delta variant was first discovered in December. The first case of it in North America was in April, and they still decided to repeal mask mandates. And they say we couldn't have known that Republicans weren't going to want to get the vaccine. Yeah, we fucking could have. I'm nobody sitting in fucking Chicago, and I knew that they weren't going to get the vaccine because they were screaming it on Twitter, on Facebook, in the streets. They were screaming that they didn't want to get the vaccine. We fucking knew they weren't going to do it. We knew it was going to be a problem. So they could have just waited, but they wanted that immediate political victory, and it ended up backfiring on them. And it's sad to see, because, Biden ran on, you're politicizing science, you're politicizing a pandemic, and we just have to listen to the science. We have to, have faith. And Trump has done such a bad job, and I'm going to come in and I'm going to do a great job. And he did. It's not nearly as bad, but he also politicized politicized the pandemic, politicized the science for his own personal political victory. So I think that there is sort of like a stigma, like we're not supposed to say that it was a bad move, but it was disastrous. And now we're seeing, people dying, younger people dying. I think like the average age of the people dying of the Delta variant is in the 40s. Like, that's horrifying. And they're almost all unvaccinated, just to be clear. And if anyone out there watching, I can't imagine isn't, but if you're not, go get vaccinated. It's great. It's dope. And they'll probably give you money to do it now. But I didn't get paid to do it. You might, so go do it. But it's just truly dystopian.
Yeah, that's the perfect word to use. And I'm glad that you brought up now that it's getting a little bit more, there's going to be a little bit more tensions between the left and liberals, because liberals are okay with the left so long as we keep our mouths shut as it relates to Joe Biden. But if he messes up, we're going to be the first to call him out. Christina, have you seen more tension over this issue? Like, have you gotten into disputes with anyone who is really incapable of criticizing Joe Biden here? Because again, like I gave him credit where I thought it was due in the beginning, but as time goes on and as the situation continues to deteriorate, I think that he needs to get called out because he's failing here. There's a number of things that he could have did that he didn't do. What are your thoughts on this? Do you think that liberals will actually call him out? Because like the one hope that I have is that, well, I mean, they're calling him out at least when it comes to Afghanistan, but the bad news and the doomer side is that, it's because they like want never ending war. And, they watch MSNBC, who brings on Bush era neocons who helped get us into this. Do you think there's going to actually be accountability on Joe Biden from the media, from liberals? What are your thoughts on this overall, Christine? I know you don't have a crystal ball, but just like, what is your general take on this?
I kind of do.
Do you literally have a crystal ball? Because that might actually be useful.
Yes, sort of. It's like
awesome.
a moon thingy, but whatever.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Surprisingly enough, I clean for a lot of people on different political spectrums, and surprisingly, a lot of the like Democrats that I clean for are not your standard liberals. Like they're not impressed with Biden. With what? Yeah, they're like him sounding and being presidential means shit. It's nothing. He needs to do something. He hasn't done anything. And so, like, hearing this from like people in their 60s, I'm like, you're supposed to be like Biden good, Trump bad. What's not computing here? But I'm happy that that's actually the case. But I feel like the ones who are like terminally online liberals will defend Biden like no matter what.
That is a good distinction, and you kind of just injected some hopium into this conversation, because I always like felt as if any criticism of Democrats was just taboo as it relates to liberals. Like, so long as we are shitting on Republicans relentlessly, they love us. But the minute we open our mouths about Democrats, we are terrible, we're unreasonable. So that actually does give me a little bit of hope. And I appreciate that. I'm curious, I'm not sure how much insight you have, Anthony, into the response to COVID from the government of Korea. I'm not sure if you've been following. I know you have family that live there. Is there any differences and anything that you wish the US government would do that the Korean government did?
Okay, I have a lot of opinions on both US and Korean responses, but I'll go with Korean then first. So the Korean government, I don't want to say they're doing great right now, but they are like kind of. So they didn't even, the Korean government did not lock down during the pandemic at all, not as to the proportion the US did, but they still had lower cases and the per capita. And the reason was, I mean, there's no controversy on masks, so that's actually helping. But there's also, well, they listen to science. I feel like I'm repeating talking points by both Democrats and other people, but yeah, they are listening to science, kind of. I mean, and they are also shutting down schools. And I keep saying lockdowns, but that's what they're doing right now. Like, they are at like 1,000 cases nationally, and like Korea is like the size of California, so like there are 1,000 cases while there's like 10,000 here, and they're going already in lockdown right now, and they are, and cases are going down. So I do think that the Korean government's response has been better relatively, but in the end, both responses has been, well, how should I put this? Total shit show, mostly because everyone's going out of business, everyone's losing everything. So I can't say that I praise the Korean government response, but they're also not that bad. I guess that's how I would put it.
Like, compared to the United States, basically, they seem competent.
Yeah, I got Biden supporters yelling in my DMs about how, oh my God, you voted for. First of all, I can't even vote, so that makes no sense. But you voted for him. Why are you criticizing him? That makes no sense. You're supposed to be loyal. I know I sound weird right now, but that's literally how it sounded to me. It's so absurd. Like, first of all, I can't vote. Also, I'm not a citizen, so please stop saying that. But also, isn't democracy supposed to be about free and open discourse or whatever? Apparently, not so when you're candidates in the government. Britain is just like authoritarianism. Keep your mouth shut and be loyal to the. Not our overlords. I mean, our president. Totally perfect president.
Well, even though you're new to politics, Anthony, it seems like you've already been initiated into the left and into political discourse by getting that like scolding by liberals. So that is actually really interesting. It doesn't matter who you are, you get it. No matter, you don't get like a grace period. The minute that you deviate from what we want you to say, then they come after you. On this subject of like the government response to COVID-19, one government that I actually am impressed by, even if this isn't like the most left-leaning government, contrary to popular belief, is New Zealand's government, where they saw a single case and they chose to shut down the entire country. And I've seen people criticize the prime minister there because this is some sort of an overreaction, but in actuality, like, they've been able to live their lives functionally normal throughout the course of the pandemic. I mean, it helps that they live on an island. You know, they have a smaller population. But I mean, if you continue to eradicate the virus entirely, I think that's going to make a huge difference. And so taking it that seriously, I mean, imagine if we did that from the beginning, if we paid people to stay home, if we, if we did anything more than what we did, I can't imagine how much of a difference that would have made, because I think it would have saved lives. Just paying people for a month to stay home would have been incredible. But we just, in the United States of America, I mean, we live in a late stage capitalist society, and businesses want people out spending money, stimulating the economy. And rather than like eradicating the virus as the way to, getting back to normal and stimulating the economy, we're just, we're kind of numb to it, and we're pretending as if it's not a thing. And I've gotten a little bit doomer to the point where even if there's like a new variant that comes along that's even worse, I feel like people still won't care. That's, I don't know.
We had like 2 weeks last year to flatten the curve. Now it's 8 weeks, I think.
Right. I mean, did the virus change that much? It doesn't seem like it, right?
Did it get easier for humans? I don't know. Do they have sympathy? I don't know. Maybe they do.
Yeah, I mean, to put a little bit of a hopium spin on it, human beings are incredibly capable of adapting to situations. So that initial shock is going to wear off fast. It's just, there's a difference between, becoming accustomed to a certain lifestyle that's inconvenient and just not caring, disregarding any safety protocols and precautions. But, in America, I kind of always expect the worst, but hope for the best, but ultimately expect the worst, because that's usually what happens. Now, in terms of government responses, I wanted to move on to this story here, because we are currently hoping that the $3.5 trillion reconciliation package that Bernie Sanders put together, which includes a Medicare expansion of dental, vision, hearing, lots of great things that progressives want. Now it's kind of in jeopardy because we have two idiots in Kirsten Sinema and Joe Manchin who don't like the price tag. Now, I don't know what station it was on, but Joe Manchin was talking to someone, I think from West Virginia, and he said, look, I understand that there's a lot of really great things in that reconciliation package. It's popular, but I mean, it's sugar. Everybody likes sugar, but the fact of the matter is that we just can't do that, because if we pass this, I mean, we're going to explode our national debt. Now, I love this because a poll completely destroyed Joe Manchin. Facts don't care about his feelings. So I want to read this. This is a Data for Progress poll. So Data for Progress pollsters told the group of or before I even read it, let me just say the poll essentially finds that Americans don't give a flying fuck about the debt or the deficit. So Data for Progress pollsters told the first group of respondents that the bill would cost $3.5 trillion, which is the amount that Biden and the Democratic leaders support. The pollsters told the second group of respondents that it would cost $2.5 trillion, and told the third group it would cost $1.5 trillion. So they're trying to determine whether or not support for this reconciliation package declines with a higher price tag. But overall, the response levels in the three groups were nearly identical. This is music to my ears. Voters support their proposal by roughly a 2-to-1 margin, regardless of whether pollsters said it would require $3.5 trillion, $2.5 trillion, or $1.5 trillion in new spending. That top line result comes with a very big, very important caveat. Voters who identify as Republicans oppose all three proposals, of course, according to the poll. But here too, the breakdown among the three options was interesting and maybe telling. On one hand, the $3.5 trillion proposal was the most unpopular among Republican voters, and it wasn't especially close, with 61% opposing it and just 34% supporting it. On the other hand, feelings about the $2.5 trillion and $1.5 trillion options were virtually the same and closer to an even split, with about half of Republican voters opposed and more than 40% supportive. The rest said they were undecided. Opinion among self-identified independent voters also varied, although here the pattern was different still. Independent voters support the proposal at all three funding levels and do so by clear margins, but the most expensive option at $3.5 trillion and the least expensive, the $1.5 trillion proposal, got more support than the middle alternative, which is interesting, of $2.5 trillion. So basically, the takeaway here is that the Democratic Party's base doesn't care. all of these things that Joe Biden and Kirsten Sinema is saying, all of the deficit scolds, the concern trolls, nobody cares in actuality. So to not pass that would be, you'd think, political suicide, given that 2022 is just around the corner. Republicans are bound to have, a advantage because of gerrymandering. I love this story. So does anyone want to jump in? Because I feel like this should be thrown in the face of every single deficit hawk that has anything to say about delivering policies for the people.
Yeah. So like, it's really stupid. I can't say any more nicer words. It's really dumb that you, of all things, are talking about the deficit, because people don't care. Like was said, we've spent $2.2 trillion on the lovely Afghanistan war. We spent, 16 to 22 trillion in over 20 years to large financial institutions. We have the money. We always had the money. We always will have the money. But apparently, 3.5 trillion for the working class and the middle class is too much for the elites. But like the poll just, like, as you said, validates the point. Like, nobody cares. It's 3.5 trillion and it's for the working and middle class American people. And it's really absurd that the Democrats, especially the moderate Democrats, I don't call it conservative, but whatever they want to be called them. So like the moderate Democrats seem to think that people care about the national debt or whatever. But as I keep seeing from all kinds of comments and people talking to me, they care about like material improvements, like better healthcare, better livelihoods in general. They don't really care about the 20-something trillion dollars of debt. That really isn't the concern for most Americans. As much as they don't care about shenanigans in Washington, they don't care about the deficit. What they care about are their lives. And when these moderate Democrats seem to think that that's the most important thing, the top line number 3.5 trillion already negotiated by $6 trillion, I just find it absurd, and I cannot believe they believe that. But I also can, because they're funded by Exxon and all that. So
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Christina, go ahead.
I was talking to a customer today who's very conservative, and I was telling her about the reconciliation bill, what it had. I'm like, with Medicare, it's going to include dental and seeing and hearing, and she's like, that sounds wonderful. Because in my opinion, when it comes to Medicare, why is that not part? I mean, when you get older, what happens to you? And so she was like, I like that, and lowering the, Medicare age or whatever. But of course, it's always about the funding. I'm like, where all that, as Anthony pointed out, where all that money went to? Wars in Afghanistan and Iraq. All that money could have been used for something like that a lot earlier on, but it never happened.
Yeah, and that's a great point. I mean, one thing that irritates me is that these deficit scolds, they're never consistent. So when it comes to tax breaks for the rich, when it comes to wars, not a peep from them. We always have the money for that. And we do, to be fair, because we print we have our own fiat currency, right? I subscribe to modern monetary theory, so I believe in deficit spending. But the people who are against spending for the middle class, the working class, poor Americans, they only speak up when we're about to get something, a policy concession. And that, to me, it's like a mask off moment that they keep doing over and over again. And I just want people to wake up and be more privy to the fact that this is an absurd argument. So the national debt, this is something that isn't like our debt as individuals. Like, government debt is not of our concern. And so we keep hearing these fear-mongering things like, oh, well, your future generations are going to have to pay that back. I think that our future generations, even if that were true, which it wasn't, I think that our future generations would prefer to pay that back than see the world go to shit due to climate change. It's just, if there's any excuse, and I'm so sick of them, squirming out of this. And Rayvon, I'm not sure if you've heard, so what they're trying to do currently is, so they passed the bipartisan infrastructure bill in the Senate, and now the moderate Democrats in the House are pressuring Nancy Pelosi to put the infrastructure deal up to a vote, so that way they can pass the infrastructure bill but then screw over progressives who wanted all of these policy wins in the reconciliation package. So I think that it's impressive and shocking that Nancy Pelosi is holding strong here. It shows that, you know, having more progressives in Congress is it matters, right? But here's my fear. I'm worried that the corporate Democrats like Nancy Pelosi might cave after a while if the moderate Democrats can get the media on their side. What are your thoughts on this? Am I being too doomer? I mean, can you be enough doomer when it comes to American politics?
I don't think you could ever be doomer-pilled enough. But I do think that Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer see the huge political victory that the not the bipartisan infrastructure bill, but the reconciliation infrastructure bill is, specifically because you know, our infrastructure, you know, what's in the bipartisan bill is our traditional infrastructure, as they're calling it, roads and bridges, and they are crumbling, and we need to repair those. But that's not an immediate political victory the same way that, you know, expanding Medicare benefits is, expanding, you know, childcare access to people is. That bill is absolutely necessary for them to, you know, at least hold their own in the midterm elections. And I do think that Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi recognize that. And I think they will hold out as long as they can, and as long as the progressives continue to put pressure on them, which is why it's great to see AOC, you know, sort of like shitting on Jake Tapper when he tried to like put her down and say that she's like blocking the bill, but didn't levy the same sort of criticism against Joe Manchin, which, by the way, really quick, I've said this before, and I just would like to repeat this. Joe Manchin, you, me, we will a fist fight. If I win, you have to stop being a bitch. If you win, you can continue to be a bitch. I'm just saying. I also just like love the idea that Joe Manchin is concerned about the deficit, like the 90s called. They want their deficit hawking back. No one gives a fuck about the deficit in 2021. And I promise you, the people in rural West Virginia who have no access to internet, some of them don't even have access to water and electricity. They don't give a shit about the deficit. They need what that infrastructure bill is going to provide them with. And if I went to West Virginia right now and I asked them, which matters more, our debt or your livelihood, they're going to say their livelihood. So it's just and the idea that like we can't afford to do it because of the taxes, and Joe Manchin is the one saying that. Joe Manchin, you're the only person in West Virginia whose taxes are going to go up to pay for this plan. It's one of the poorest states in the country. No one else in that state is going to see like one more penny taken out of their paychecks to do this. So it's just, he is a bitch, and he should fight me. Just
I want to fight Kirsten Sinema
fight. It's a consensual fight, so can't get banned from any platform for saying this. But
I'm down for bringing back duels. I would like to duel Joe Manchin, Joe Biden. I'll duel Kirsten Sinema. Fuck it. I'll duel all of them. Yeah, Dan, I wanted to ask you. So when it comes to Joe Biden and, you know, people like Joe Manchin, I saw this meme that I feel like is perfect that represents them. So there is a bunch of people lying down, strapped to train tracks, and it's running over person after person after person, and they're dying. And Democrats have an option. They can pull the switch, stop the train, and stop it from running over anyone else, but they'll win in 2022 and 2024. That's kind of the meme. It's like they're averse to giving people good things and doing things that are objectively good that help them win. I mean, deficit spending during the Great Depression is what got us out of the Great Depression. Why are they so stupid? I mean, part of it is corruption, but I think stupidity factors in too, Dan. Give us your thoughts on this. Oh, I think we have you on mute still.
That was my
There we
fault.
go.
I don't have like a giant big brain take on this. It just really feels like they're just, I mean, we're literally talking about Joe Manchin and having to argue with Joe Manchin about deficit spending. With Democrats like these, what's the point of having Republicans? And it just feels like when I was a kid, we didn't have to argue about those things. But, you know, that's not necessarily true. But, you know, what do you say? It's about maintaining whatever fucking power they have, and it's not about helping people out. If they wanted to help people out, they'd have shown us a long time ago. If they wanted to help people out, they'd they'd take Afghan refugees by the hundreds of thousands. If they wanted to help people out, they'd stop these these wars that have gone on for fucking ever. And to their credit, literally, they just pulled us out of Afghanistan, as ugly as it was. I don't know. I don't have a big brain take on this, but I'm just looking forward to getting to my sleeve of Oreos in the next room. I have one of the things over here.
Wow. No, I'm glad that you brought up Afghanistan. So this was from a couple of days ago, the 13th. So rather than like bringing in Afghan refugees after we ruined their country, the United States is desperately trying to find other countries to take in refugees. It's just, it really feels frustrating because the Democratic Party, they have so many easy political victories. Joe Biden can use his pen to eradicate student debt, remove weed off of Schedule 1, but he won't do any of that. And it's so frustrating. It just feels like part of me thinks that they just don't want to win. Many members of Congress would prefer to see Republicans in power because that's just an easy way to fundraise. Hey, we've got to stop these evil Republicans. I mean, they just passed a really crucial deadline that is now going to set in motion the process of Republican legislatures redrawing districts in most districts. So that's going to give them an advantage, and Democrats didn't do enough. Apparently, after recess in September 13th, Chuck Schumer says that'll be their first priority, but it just feels like, I mean, they've been in power for 8 months, and that one victory that we got legislatively with the stimulus bill, the $1,400, that was great. Not going to last forever, though. I mean, they have done some good things, but the crisis itself isn't going to go away if you kind of chip away around the edges. So we need substantial reforms. But I mean, I'm preaching to the choir because all of my viewers know that, all of the panelists know that. But folks, we've been incredibly doomer, and I apologize for that. But I've been promising viewers of Dystopian Times now for 3 weeks that we're going to do a pet segment. And folks, guess what? So it is a fan favorite segment. Let's pretend like the world isn't ending for a moment by distracting ourselves with pictures of cute pets. I can never get that title right. It's just a little bit too long. But folks, we have a lot of submissions. Lots and lots of submissions. So I always start with my own. This is my child. This is Zoya. So now I've had all 3 of my animals. She doesn't usually like to pose for the camera, but she did now, so I had to include her. We have some additional submissions. Christina,
Frankie and Zoe,
has her 2 children, Frankie and Zoe.
Yes,
they're beautiful.
Frankie's actually right there.
I can't. Okay.
Napping.
Okay. Oh, how sweet.
I should grab him, but.
We have Chester with a goat. How cool is that?
Oh, so good.
I have a friend who has goats, and it's so cute.
I have not seen a goat in real life in like decades, since I was a kid, I think, and I went to a petting zoo, but apparently they're really sweet. They're basically like dogs.
Yeah. So
we have our... Yeah, they are smart. Mr. Anderson, this is our mod. He has his entire family here of cats. We have top left, Roland, Felix, Darby, bottom left, and we have Milo.
Oh,
absolutely
Felix the cat. That's so smart. Oh,
right?
I love that.
So this one, I forgot the name. This looks a little bit like my cat. Very sweet, very snug. Also, they're living a good life. Thank you for sharing, Mr. Anderson. We have Joe with her baby Boo. She's very happy, and her moving the cat tree into her room. That's a luxury life. This is bougie living here. Love it. And then we have another picture. Oh, that's a good picture. I can also get a better look at Joe's tattoos now.
Oh,
nice.
Very cool. Very cool. That's really sweet. Yeah, see, I already forgot that we're living in an apocalypse by seeing all of this. So we have Lance with a picture of Chico.
Nice legs.
That is adorable.
Legs.
Hey, and a tattoo. Nice. Okay, I noticed tattoos as well. That's also therapeutic. Yeah, Chico is so sweet. I'll tune into Lance's streams, and Chico would just be in the back chewing a bone, being so behaved. I'm like, that's teach my dogs. Although my dogs, I guess, when I do my Twitch streams, they're pretty well behaved. I will say, the second the camera goes off, it all goes to shit. They start like snapping at each other. But Chico's a very good boy. So we have Chris with 2 kitties, Maya and Wyatt. I love the Darth Vader statue. Look at that's like, this is a model.
Yes,
just posing.
Frankie does that too. He's like a roly-poly. He just loves posing for the camera, and that's one of his. He does that too.
Oh, see, my cat kind of poses for the camera. My dog, the one who I showed the picture of, she doesn't like. It's always like motion blur because she won't stop for like a second for me to take a picture. So this is Donna's kitty. This is like a reverse beard. This is a really pretty cat. I like that. Very pretty. We have Farron Cousins' animal family. Oh. Very sweet. Very sweet.
A 2 for 1.
Oh, that's great.
Puppy face too, like
sweet puppo.
Oh, I love it. I love it. We have Holly Flax and Michael Scott.
Oh, yay!
Wow, that's great. That's perfect. I love that. Holly Flax and Michael Scott. Okay, I see you, Sean. That's good. Zonstar, how's it going, Zonstar? With his kitty.
Oh,
good kitty.
Get that belly rubs with the feet.
We have Socialist with no fucks. My babies. Top is Tortoiseshell, Zuko, the Orange Tabby, Appa, and Momo. Wow, and they're all like these ones are posing. Oh, Momo.
Like Avatar, The Last Airbender. They're all
oh, okay. Oh my god, yeah. This is very pretty. Very pretty.
Yeah,
I look at just the pose there.
Yeah. Tortoiseshells are really pretty.
Yeah.
Oh.
We have Santino with Rachi all dressed up for the camera. Wow, a tie for the I don't even put on a tie. That's incredible. Absolutely precious. We have GD's Luna. Absolutely zonked out. I love this. Very cute. So we have Sarah with her entire family of doggies all smiling. I mean, come on, folks. Yeah, I'm not sure, actually. This one kind of looks like a husky. I'm not sure, though.
Yeah, with like a white.
Because my brother has my brother has a white husky that looks similar, but I'm not 100% sure. But all beautiful. Thank you for sharing, Sarah.
So
we have, I know. So look at that. Very sweet. Very sweet. Refusing to pose, but adorable nonetheless.
Things got tongue sticking out.
So she looks down on us. Yes, very, very precious. Phaedra. Okay, thank you for sharing that, Comrade Tyler. We have Stella. Very sweet picture. Look at that. You have like this closed off VIP section in front of the window on a bed. That's great. And some toys. Living her best life, it appears. Great. Luke with this baby who looks a little bit scared of the camera. I can sympathize with that. Mine do too sometimes. We have Dylan with his pet frog. Thank you, Dylan. This is a very cute frog. What is his name?
Pepe.
We have Greg with a seemingly angry kitty. I see the ears back, and I see anger, but I'm sure that this is a very sweet boy. Just wasn't maybe wanting to take a picture. Or sweet girl. I'm not sure. Oh, God.
Oh, no.
We'll keep going. Abby with a very sweet kitty. This looks like a little mini tiger. Love it. Love it.
Their tabbies are just the best.
Aren't they?
Yes.
Archer has this goofball and fluffball. Absolutely perfection here. I love the action shots where they're like mouths are open or they're smile or they're like it's all motion blur. We have wow, look, this is like
nice
bougie living here. This is I thought that the window one, yeah, look at I mean just in a pool. That's impressive. I'm very impressed by this. So Judith is sharing, my dog failed to enter into the Christmas spirit when I suggested she may like to welcome visitors with a kiss. Oh, that's very sweet. Very sweet. Yeah, what a sweet idea, too. Awesome. And I see a toy. Okay, Jojo says, Lucy loves shipping boxes. Scarlett loves the rug in the dining room. You know, my cat loves boxes also, but also the rug. But it's very, very sweet. I like this. It's funny that cats like, I bought my cat like one of those little rug things or carpet structure things, and she liked the box more than the actual structure itself. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'll throw that away and we'll just keep the box. We have the marvelous Miss Maisel, her bunny Snoopy. Wow. Aww. Very cool. I like to see the diversity of pets. Yeah. Very bond. Sweet. Very, very sweet. So we have the marvelous Miss Maisel again, other people's pets that she has painted. Wow. So we have some art and pets. That is incredible. That's like realistic.
Yeah, the detail.
These are great.
Oh, I
wow.
thought it was a real picture.
Yeah, these look photorealistic, folks. This is Marissa Maisel. Give her a follow on Twitter. That's incredible. Thank you for sharing your artwork. That's pets and artwork. That's like double the therapy, I guess you can say. My sister's corgi tater tot with lots and lots of toys. Love it. So we have Balder and I having dinner and playing World of Warcraft. Wow. Aww. Very sweet. Very sweet. Okay, I'll try. I always take a very long time to go through these because I look at each picture for too long. I feel like I'm doing better today, but I'll try to speed it up. Here's a better pic. Oh, that's just a little. That's a little baby. Okay. This is my favorite so far.
Watermelon.
Yeah. Big yawn.
Love it. These are my kitties when they were babies, and all together they look stuffed. Oh, wow. We have some kittens. Okay. This I'm going to have to click away from because it's going to make me want a kitten. If anyone makes sex jokes about his life jacket, we would never allow that. Very beautiful. Very beautiful. Audrey turned 15 over the weekend. No kidding. Audrey, happy birthday. I mean, this is a little bit.
She looks so older. Young.
Yeah.
Doesn't she?
A lot. My tabby, like Frankie, he's 12, but he's got that baby face. So it seems like tabbies are notorious for having like a baby face.
Yeah, they don't age. Mm-hmm. So Lola is a working stiff, fighting every day to bring down the bourgeoisie. Yes. That's perfect. We have a fellow comrade here. Good on you, Lola. Yeah, answering question, organizing. Love it.
Season the memes.
Season the memes. Beautiful. See, don't you all feel better already after we talked about all these very apocalyptic doomer topics? Like, I already forgot about all of it. Like, everything's great.
I always make sure to send Anna Kasparian like pictures of my customers' dogs because I know like certain dogs would like cheer her up.
That's good. That's good. You can't not be cheered up when you. I mean, look at their faces. I love like this is a little bit creepy, and he looks a little bit unsure. But
what?
I do love
the dog
this.
A little dirty with this picture, but
you can just see like the side eye. Like what the fuck is on me? Oh my god.
He's like. Whoop.
I don't know if this is a Boston Terrier or a French Bulldog, but either way, I'm going to kidnap this doggy. Wow, we have going to keep posting more snakes despite the lukewarm reaction. Your snake is beautiful.
Hey, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, very sweet. Very sweet. A socialist nope rope. No.
Wow.
I've been afraid of snakes, but I'm pro snake now. As I have grown, I'm pro snake. So we have Abby here. Just being a model.
Oh,
incredible.
Gorgeous baby.
Love it. And I like the pillows, like the whole aesthetic. Some cats, I feel like they just like they're models. Like they just pose as soon as you bust out the camera. 4 out of 5 of the gang looking at a spider.
Oh, fun.
That's good. That's a good picture.
what to do with it.
We have the mouse collection. Love it.
Looking like Burt Reynolds posing for Playboy.
Yeah.
Or Playgirl.
Yeah.
We have a cat on a leash. This is the same. Okay. Hey, that is awesome. If I put my cat on a leash, she would murder me.
Oh.
Sadly, we had to put Annie down last year, but have you ever seen a more adorable face? Oh, that's so sweet.
Oh.
We're sorry. Rest in peace, Annie. Very sweet. This is cute.
Oh.
This reminds me of like when you post something on, or when you see like your aunts post something on Facebook, and then you'll see some like older lady post like an angel with the wings praying.
Yes.
Professor Gnome Chom's Kitty and Rosa Luxembourg.
Nice.
Oh my God, that's a win.
Yes.
Some of the names are so creative.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a ball of fur. Oh, and it is a dog. It is a dog. Very sweet.
A long nose.
Yeah, that is a very long nose. Very cute.
Maybe a bit of a schnauzer?
Maybe. We have. I love that bit. That oops, wrong face there is great. Loki celebrating the final day of fleets earlier this week. Oh, right, because they got rid of fleets on Twitter. I never used them, so
21 to 2021. It
yeah.
for like
When I heard that fleets were going away, I'm like, what the fuck is a fleet? I don't think I ever used that once. So we have.
Oh, that's really pretty.
Yeah, this is a great picture. Wow. Okay, I'll try to scroll more. See, the scroll bar is like we're halfway basically, so of course we're not going to get to all of it, but I will try to speed it up. Oh, not that fast. But I'll try to speed it up, folks, because I know a lot of people want their pictures to get a little bit of the spotlight. Loki celebrating. Oh, nope, saw that one. Here we go. Okay.
Oh, cuddly baby.
Chrono and Twisp. Roger, aka Lil White Kitten, aka Mustache Man. Love the mustache.
So name him Wilford Kitty.
In a tree, behold my boy. Very handsome boy. Very sweet. This is like the optimal situation for a cat in front of the window on your little your cat things. You can watch the birds. Very lucky kitty.
Watching cat TV.
Yeah. A very good boy. One ear floppy adds to the level of cuteness. And another box kitty. And this gigantic smile.
Someone's happy.
Okay, so I'm going to cut myself off and I'll do one more if you're all cool with that. And then we'll get to our shout outs at the end. We have Piccolo.
Oh, a dilute long-haired tortie?
Wow. Yeah, very sweet. Beautiful. Oh, and okay, so I'll stop that. And what I will do, folks, is I will try to resume where we left off here. I won't do a new thread of pets. But if there's time, so there's 3 episodes left of Dystopian Times? 3? This is 7? Yeah, so there's 3 episodes left. I will try to get through all of that. I promise, folks. Okay, so before we close out the show and we get to all of our shout outs and we tell everyone where to go find us. That almost sounded bad. Like, we'll tell you where to go. No, so I want to do our featured content creator of the week. So this week we have a new YouTuber who just got started, I believe this year, I want to say. And here is a little bit about his channel, folks. This is Alex Kawa, our featured creator of the week.
Hello everybody, my name is Alex Kawa and I'm a leftist content creator here on YouTube. The videos that I do on my channel fall under a couple different categories. The most prominent one is video essays. These are deep dives, research takes on politics of the day, certain topics that I feel strongly about. These can include areas in the issues of healthcare, climate change, foreign policy, etc., but also occasionally look at some personal social areas such as sexuality, or in terms of my most recent video essay, at the time of me recording this video, the connection between politics and the arts. I also make discussion videos. I take a question that's been on my mind in the realm of politics for a while and try to facilitate a discussion with it. For example, most recently, with the passing of the late Senator Mike Gravel, I tried to facilitate discussion as to what we can do to continue on his legacy. And also, occasionally, I'll make a list video, like list video I made a while back ago, about songs that me and my friend love that have political messages in them. These I'll do every now and then, just as a little fun project. And I also want to thank Mike from the Humanist Report for giving small content creators like me this chance at promoting our work to a wider audience, because without somebody with a platform like Mike, we would not be as likely to succeed. So I want to say thank you, Mike, for this chance. And if you like what you hear about from me, then please go check out my channel. Hopefully you like what I do. And if you do, then like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. If you want to hear some political takes from me that are a lot less, that are a little more off the cuff, I suppose I could say, and you can follow me on Twitter too. But yeah, that's it. Go check me out on YouTube. Follow me on Twitter if you want to. Thank you again, Mike, for the chance to share my platform with you and with your audience. And yeah, that's it. Solidarity forever. Peace.
All right, folks. So that was Alex Kawa. So this is the goal that I want to set. I think we can easily get Alex to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube within 2 weeks. I think that's possible. So go and subscribe. If you're watching this on Means TV, you can search for Alex Kawa on YouTube, and I believe you can find him. But if you're watching this on YouTube, there will be a link in the description box. Now, I do want to say that the last day to submit your submission is August 31st. And I've selected next week's. I can't talk. I'm too hot. After like 2 hours, my brain shuts down. But next week, I've selected the featured content creator. So there's 2 spots left before the season finale of the show. So please make sure that you submit by August 31st. I see that some of you have submitted, but you have to send in a video that is an unlisted link to YouTube, because if you try to send me a video that I have to download, oftentimes that will expire and I won't be able to access it. So just FYI, if you would like to submit, you can email me, mike@humanistreport.com. In the subject line, in all caps, you'll put DT_submissions and just send me a 2 to 3 minute video about yourself, your channel, and what you want to accomplish. And I would be happy to give you a little bit of a boost. Like, we're all content creators and it's hard to get started in this field. So I like to highlight good work, folks. So yeah, check out Alex.
Seriously, go do that, everyone. It worked for me, I mean. So I really recommend it. Go submit on video. Seriously, it'll work.
Absolutely. Okay, well, folks, that is the end of this show. What an amazing panel. So great to speak to every single one of you. One by one, we are going to go to each panelist and allow them to tell us where they're at, what they're doing, and where the people can find them. Christina, we'll start with you.
Well, you can find me everywhere at Christina. Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, everywhere.
And you do Twitch streams as well.
Yes.
What kind of streams do you do?
Political, cosplay. Gonna start doing some gaming. But yeah, mostly political and cosplaying for the most part.
Okay. I saw the Harley Quinn cosplay,
yes.
and that was very cool. Very cool.
People
See,
are
I don't.
People are like, I can't look at Margot Robbie without seeing you and her, and I'm like, great.
See, you're raising the standards, Christina, because I have not cosplayed during my my Twitch streams, and now I feel like, oh man, this is a great idea. I brought in the dog cam, and Dr. Heamed Out brought in the beard cam, but now you're introducing cosplaying, and we all keep raising the standards. So I mean, it's hard to keep up, but yeah, great work, everyone. Check out Christina. The next person is Anthony.
Hey, so I'm sure many of you watched my featured content creator of the week moment, which was great. But I like to call my content leftist propaganda. I don't know if that is really propaganda. I don't know. Who knows? But I do make leftist content about current events, social issues, and some international stuff I'm working on, although it's slow going. So you can mainly check me out at YouTube. I'm sure somebody will link it in the chat. But I'm also on Twitter, but I would recommend that you go to my YouTube rather than my Twitter if you don't have the time. And always, thanks everyone for joining us on this panel. It's really great having you all here.
Yeah, thanks so much for coming, Anthony. It's so cool to see someone so young, this educated about politics. Again, like I am blown away because when I was that young, I knew nothing. So I really appreciate you getting involved early. By the time you're my age, you're basically going to be like a genius. So yeah, thank you. You only get smarter as you get older. Although it does rot your brain to cover politics for a while. So you just wanna keep out.
It's already
for that as well.
It's already oh my
No,
God.
not yet. No, not yet. That can't happen yet. Okay, Dan, where can the people find you, and what do you do?
All right, Mike. Well, thank you for having me. Panel, y'all are amazing. Really good to get to hang out with y'all. Nice to meet you, Anthony. Y'all could find me probably mostly on Twitter. Twitch is where you'll find me. I stream each day, and I stream at Idan Simpson. I'll do the leftist sort of edutainment thing for, I don't know, 6 to 10 hours or so, and we just sort of rock it out every day. I'm sort of like a relatively new leftist. I was probably a shit-lib for a good handful of years, and I'm also starting to pay a little bit more close attention to politics. So it's not like it's a stream where I'm learning a lot. It's educational. I'm not like speaking as an authority on anything. I'm trying to learn with my audience, and we do a lot of learning. I'd like to think. Yeah, and also on Twitter, but you'll find that at Shy Johnny Cash, CHI as in Chicago, Johnny Cash. I used to do a Johnny Cash tribute act, and then they nuked my main Twitter account. What are you gonna do?
Oh, censorship, Dan. That's censorship.
They canceled me.
Not cool. You got canceled. Yeah, and I was on Dan's show. Everyone, go check it out. It was a great time. Dan has the graphics, the aesthetic just like nailed down. Absolutely a source of inspiration, Dan.
Thank you. That's nice. You do great work over here. I look up to you.
Oh, well, I look up to you. Well, I mean, I guess we're all just each other's role models. Look at that.
You can't beat it.
And
I love it.
no, you can't. Last but certainly not least, the wonderful Ravana. Where can we find you, and what do you do?
Okay, well, first, thank you so much for having me on. This was super fun. Anthony, it was very nice to meet you. I know Dan and Christina, so it was great to be on a panel with you too. And like Mike, I love the show. It's such a wonderful idea. And okay, so you can see me every weekday, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, which is the only true time zone, twitch.tv/Ravana. We talk shit there, I'll be honest. I do a lot of yelling. I argue with chuds in my chat. I am very fiery and very feisty. So if you want to see that, you can go there. You can check me. Oh, and please, I know that there's like 200 of you out there. I only need 20 more followers to get to 1,000 on Twitter. So go fucking follow me, please.
Yes.
Ravana TTV on Twitter. You can see also my show Reactions on TYT's Twitch channel every Thursday at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 Eastern. And you can see my daily videos at Rebel HQ on Facebook and YouTube. Also, if you're going to watch them on YouTube, say nice stuff in the comments because there's fucking weirdos out there.
Yes.
Yeah, but yeah. So you can check me out on all those platforms.
Yeah, and I just discovered Ravana recently, and I'm your biggest fan. I'm already your biggest fan. So everyone else, like, step aside. I'm your biggest fan. So folks, thank you so much. This has been so much fun. Please be sure to check out all of the panelists. I will come back in a second after our outro plays, and I will answer any remaining super chats and read any comments that I missed. Folks, thank you so much. This was such a great panel. I had so much fun. I hope that you did as well. I will see you all next week. This has been Dystopian Times. Well, folks, that was a fantastic show. I had so much fun. Once again, thank you so much to my guests. Let me pull up the super chats. And I don't think we had a lot, so we should be out of here relatively soon. Let's see here. So we don't have any. We do have a new membership, though. I want to make sure I get to that. I believe I highlighted it, but we have Adam Prawl, who rejoined, once again, spending a total time of 7 months as a member. Thank you so much, Adam. It's so nice to have you. So nice to have you. It is really hot in this room. Last week, it was really bad, but now after like being under these lights for a while, it's pretty hot again. So my brain is definitely melting. Okay, folks. Well, hey, we'll spend a few minutes reading the comments, and then I will get back to work and try to get out the episode and work on more things. I have a really interesting interview that I'm filming tomorrow with an epidemiologist. I mentioned this. So I've got to prep for that, do a lot of research. So I make sure I have some good questions, because it's not very often that you get to talk to an expert. So yeah. First time tuning in. This was a great thing. Hey, I'm so glad that you tuned in and you enjoyed it. That's awesome. Very cool. Thank you, Andrew. I know, I turned down the lights so it's not as hot in here, but I think that just like being in this room with the computer and whatnot, it's a lot. So I always end up like getting cooked. But yeah, I'm melting. I am melting. See, when I'm doing all of this pre-recorded, I can like take some breaks, but when it's live, you've got to roll with it the whole time, for sure. Thank you, Jeff. Shout out to Jeff, everyone in the chat. Everyone go follow Jeff. If you don't already follow Jeff, definitely do that. Definitely. Thank you so much, Dragon Slayer. You do great work. It's noticed and appreciated. Thank you. That means so much. I really appreciate you. Let's see here. Very good freelancer with the $4.99 super chat. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Hit me up if you or your affiliates need any pro bono graphics or video effects. Would love to help raise up all these causes. Hey, thank you so much for the offer. Thank you so much. So that's a very good freelancer, folks. If anybody is interested, and I'll be sure to hit you up if I ever need you. Thank you so much. Thank you for watching. Yeah, so ask the new expert, or ask the expert about the new variant from Peru, the Lambda variant. Yes, I definitely want to ask about the new variants. I also want to ask about what she knows about the transmissibility of the Delta variant among kids, because there is an increased rate of infection among kids, but the science is kind of out as of yet. Like there's a correlation, but it's difficult to say for sure that it's because of the Delta variant. It might be that, we saw differences in policies like relaxed mask mandates and whatnot, and that could have attributed to it. So I do want to ask her what she knows about that, because I think it's really important. And to see pediatric hospitals begin to fill up, that's really concerning to me. So I hope that she'll be able to kind of like give me the breakdown there, because she knows a lot about this. So it's nice to be able to pick her brain. E. Lewis says, nice setup. Found the show via Vosh. Really like the panel. You go, hey, that's awesome. That's awesome. Shout out to Vosh. Thank you, E. Lewis. I'm so glad that you're here. Always nice to have new people here. Based panel. No, Anthony, you made the panel based. It's always great to have you. Yeah, exactly. Anthony is brilliant. Like, again, I'm so it's really inspirational and refreshing to see young people actually care about politics. I try very, very hard to get people involved in politics. And it's difficult. It's difficult. I try to get my nieces and nephews involved, and I've been relatively successful at that. So to see someone like Anthony so involved and so knowledgeable, again, it's great, because I was nowhere near that level of knowledge about politics. So it's very nice to have that perspective of a young person who's going to be the future. Yeah. Really enjoy the women on your panel. Thank you, Mist. Yeah, they were absolutely fantastic. It was so nice to have them on. Again, Ravana is great. Christina, super awesome. I love the Harley Quinn cosplay. Really, really cool. Florida's done. Spring is coming. Man, yeah, definitely. Florida, Texas, like the variants from these states are bound to pop up. Although I will say that California, I believe, had a pretty substantial or concerning variant, I want to say. Would like to see R.M. Brown and the Progressive Voice on Dystopian Times. Yeah, so I'm not familiar with R.M. Brown, but I have reached out to Progressive Voice, and we're kind of in talks of trying to find a date that works for him. There's only a couple more episodes left, and then that will be the end of Dystopian Times. I'll probably bring it back next year. I don't want to say for sure. Like, I'm going to have to shift gears and focus on candidates soon. So that's what I'll do immediately after I finish Dystopian Times. But, for the remaining episodes, I want to make sure that they are as pog as they possibly can be. Sarah Lee says, love your show. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Have you ever heard of the leftist YouTuber Jackson Hinkle? Yes, I have heard of Jackson. He and I got into like a Twitter spat a couple of weeks ago over the Nina Turner thing. So, yeah, I don't think that he likes me. I have no issue with him. I think that if he wants to criticize me, he is more than welcome to. If you're a public figure, you're going to get criticized. It comes with the territory. So I have no problem with Jackson Hinkle unless he posts, bad things, misinformation. But yeah, that's as far as I know, that he is a YouTuber and he doesn't like me, talk shit about me. But shout out to Jackson Hinkle regardless, because I'm not a petty bitch. Well, I am a petty bitch, but I don't really care that much in this instance. Okay. Love the show. Hope you can bring it back in some form or another. Yeah, I've been thinking about this. So I was thinking like each summer I'll do something different. Maybe it'll be Dystopian Times every summer. Maybe I'll bring it back in a couple of years. But I already have a different set of ideas flowing through my head. So it'll be like 10 episode shows that I do. And I was thinking I could do like a video essay series that I've been thinking about instead. Mini documentaries, 10 episode series. I'm not sure. I'm kind of like, it depends, right? I don't want to like be glued to I don't want to be glued to the same formula over and over. But I think at some point I would like to bring do Dystopian Times again. A dating show. I don't think I'm good at matchmaking. I don't think I am good at that. Jackson Hinckley is disguised as a leftist. He's disingenuous. Yeah, I don't know enough about his politics to say, but if you're criticizing Nina Turner and you're like shitting on her, I want nothing to do with you. Get fucked. Nina Turner is the best of the best. So I'm not like, I don't hate Jackson Hinkle, but I'm not a fan. But to be fair, I don't know enough. But if you hate Nina Turner, we're not cool. We're not comrades. So I will say that. But I don't want to talk shit about somebody that I don't know enough about. So yeah, I'll leave that there. Let's see here. Video essays are always fun. Yeah, I mean, I would like to do deep dives, and I do deep dives sometimes on the channel, but like a really deep dive into something that interests me. Perhaps like sexism in the gaming industry, just like random things that I think about and am interested in, but I haven't like talked about or don't have time to talk about on the show. So we'll see. I'm not sure. I also thought about doing panels, like IRL panels with Republicans in real life. And after like 10 episodes, try to see if I can move them on anything, on anything and bring them to reality. I'm not sure. These are like, there's a bunch of things, swirling through my mind, but I like to change it up a little bit, This panel rocks. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Love it. Love the reference there. Fellow millennial. All my fellow millennials will get this reference. The Beavis and Butthead movie based. Late night, embrace the sifting through data and research, cross-reference sources, and don't forget to take little naps. New content creators. Yes, this is really, really good advice. Take naps frequently. And always make sure, one thing that I've learned is if you have an argument, try to find counter arguments to your arguments. that will only strengthen your argument. It's really important. So, yeah. So I think that's pretty much everything. Let's see. Here, this is a good one to end with. Smoke weed every day. Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Yeah, the collaborations are really great. I will admit that it's very difficult for me to put together all of these panels. And I wasn't sure how many episodes of Dystopian Times that I wanted to do. Initially, I wanted to do like 20, 25, but I landed on 10 because it's very, very tricky. Yeah, at some point, I'll probably bring it back because there's so many people that I wanted to talk to that I didn't get the chance to talk to. So yeah, but I did talk to a lot of awesome people. So yeah, folks, I will see you all next week. So far, the panelists that I have confirmed are very, very cool. So I won't spoil it for you, but be sure to tune in. All right, folks, I will see you all next week. Take care, everyone.